Another day, another semi-final, another familiar story plays out at Lahore as New Zealand win by 50 runs. Killer Miller put on a show, but it was a bit too late for South Africa because New Zealand were clinical from the word go, and the horror of their semis for South Africa continue. We're back at Cricbuzz Live. I've resisted from the pre-match show. I have Karthik calling Kartik with me still here, but the Kiwis will be flying to Dubai to play India in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. I think till the 15-over mark, at least you can say South Africa, we're going toe-to-toe. But between the 15 and the 30-over mark, I think that's where the game came apart for them, losing wickets at regular intervals. And then the pressure was so much that the asking rate kept going up. You mentioned David Miller. David Miller's 100, yes, it did come. It's a well-made 100. It's an attacking 100. But did he have partners? Was it a question of too little, too late? But unfortunately for South Africa, another event, and they flattered to deceive.
Like he said, too little, too late. But DK, you know, at halfway point, they were almost going head-to-head. But then things just didn't get going for South Africa.
I just want to ask them, did they believe they can get to 362? Because right from the outset, they're very timid. When you're chasing 362, you need to go hard. 56 is not good enough. You need to look to get 70. In trying that, if you get 56, that's understandable. But they were just batting it out like they're just chasing 300. But they were chasing 362. And look at the progression. 56, 57, 68. That's no momentum. That's not going to get you the scores. In fact, I'm looking at New Zealand. I should be looking the other side, which is 51, 67, 49. And they've lost wickets. You got the feeling that they backed themselves to get 200, 240 of the last 30. But that's not going to be possible unless you have a set batter at batting on 100, which never happened. And the pitch, I feel, they overestimated. They thought it wouldn't spin. Dew will come on, it'll come nicely to the bat. But sorry, it was spinning.
Yes.
And once they identified that, they had to put pressure back on them, which I don't know if they did, because it looked like they were just waiting for things to happen. And they were hoping the skill of a Klaasen and a Miller will come through and they can get there. But it was too much for them to handle. And it just looked a very ordinary chase, one that felt like deer in headlights, where they didn't know how to go about it. And reaching the semi-final, yes, I understand on a placid wicket, your bowlers probably got tapped a bit, 362, but at least have the intent to go close to it, make a match out of it. It just felt right from the outset that they played quiet cricket, which is not good enough to chase 360.
You're talking about the intent, Kartik. That's exactly what was missing, all through, because when we saw Bavuma come in as well, do you think he was way too cautious because you have a target which is 362, which is massive?
I don't know what the chat was in the dressing room. Sometimes teams tend to say, let's go toe-to-toe, let's match the opposition in the way they went about it, and then we will pick it up. I don't know whether that was the chat. Or, again, the question again is, what was their game plan? What did they believe in? What did they think could be done? What was achievable? And I think that's where they came up a cropper. When you really look at it, yes, they were fine. Till the 15th over, they were matching New Zealand. But after that, what was their game plan? You knew that there were quality spinners at the other side. Did they even try and do anything against them? They were just happy patting balls back. You're going to get some good deliveries from Santner and Bracewell. But what did they try and do? And I think that's where they will ask a question. There's no point in feeling happy about crossing 300.
Of course.
But the thing is, the game was lost a long time ago.
Like you're saying, you don't know what the chat was in the dressing room. When there is a 362 and you go back and you have that mid-innings, there clearly is a plan. There's clearly, there's going to be a plan saying you play this kind of a role, which just looked like it was missing all through. Didn't look like anyone knew what role they were playing.
I thought the most impressive start was Ryan Rickelton. He showed intent. He got to the ball, wanted to play. It stopped on him, got caught at covers. But Temba Bavuma, one of his main shots is the lap sweep that he plays to fast bowlers. Not once did he try it in power play 1. When you're opening the innings, you're the captain. You want to impose yourself. I don't think Temba Bavuma was in that mindset. Now, the shots that he played, you can see his progression. He was 3 of 17 in the power play. That's not good enough. And batting at a strike rate of 80 and 70 after you've reached 30, what's the point doing that? The run rate is just climbing. And it almost got insurmountable at a stage when Klaasen and Miller were walking in.
But do you think it was a case of sometimes things just don't get going for a batter, and that's what happened with him today?
Yeah, that's what I thought initially, because sometimes it's like the way Kane Williamson went about it. Yes, if you want to choose, the most important thing is what DK is trying to say is, yes, you didn't have the intent. But if you didn't have the intent, at least make up for that lost time. Don't give up your wicket. There are lots of batters who bat like that. But can they make up? Can they go ahead of run a ball? Can they make up for it? I think that's the key. Kane Williamson started slowly, but he was more than run a ball at one stage. Temba Bavuma actually started very slowly. At least for somebody like Kane Williamson, he had Rachin Ravindra going great at the other end. Over here, Rassie van der Dussen did try. But the thing is, Temba Bavuma was possibly too slow. And that's why my question is, what were they thinking? What was the chat at the halfway mark? How are we going about chasing this 360 down? It's a semi-final at stake. We have had this massive tag around us. It seems to stick to every part of our body. How are we going to get rid of it? And 362, yes, forget what happened with the bowlers, but we have to chase this. This is our immediate task at hand. What was the chat? And the reason why I say that is, we had a coach at Somerset whose concept was, you try and stick to the DLS. If you stick to the DLS in your chase, you will always be able to chase it down. I don't know what their chat was. What was at the end of every over? Where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Divide it into small parts. Don't look at 362. Divide it into small parts. Try and do what you can. I don't know. That's why I'm saying I don't know what the chat was, because suddenly it came apart at the seams. It just went completely wheels down.
You know, usually you see someone sending in a message. We didn't really see that happening either. But someone like a Klaasen as well, it's a big stage, it's a big semi-final, and then he disappoints because there's so much expected of someone like a Heinrich Klaasen.
I will definitely not fault a Heinrich Klaasen too much. Because when he's coming in, the asking rate is 8.5 and 9, which means you have to take a risk very early on in your innings. Yes, I agree, in T20 cricket he does it, but you're doing it for shorter periods of time. To do it across 30 overs or 25 overs is not easy. Heinrich Klaasen doing it over 8 overs and 10 overs is completely different.
And also one more thing which I want to ask, if we can have that scorecard again, you know that you're going to be up against a left-arm spinner very early. What was David Miller doing at number 6? Why couldn't he have been bumped up the order to take on the left-handers in a,
You would have liked him to
chase
come
like
in
that?
place of Markram.
Of course. I know Markram is a good player, very good player. Even Rassie van der, sometimes you need to take that punt because he's a left-hander. You know how good. And again, coming back to the point you made, which is a very valid one, if you know that the ball's starting to turn, then you're not going to send 3 or 4 left-handers one by one against a left-arm spinner. It'll happy days for me. If I see only right-handers coming, I know I'm going to keep bowling there, which is what he does. He's brilliant with that. We spoke about it. And you don't have a left-hander coming in. And somebody like David Miller can really take him on because he can hit those big shots.
And is that something that South Africa has been criticised for earlier as well, is they don't think out of the box. They try to be very safe. And that's something that you're saying as well, is they don't want to think out of the box maybe.
Looking back at the way this innings unfolded, I agree with Karthik Murali saying, could they have sent him? But when the pitch is turning, it makes sense to have a left-hander through the middle, especially when they've seen Temba and Rassie not being able to rotate strike that easily. It would make sense for a David Miller to come ahead on that day. If it's a flat wicket, then the conversation can always be, Markram is a decent player of spin, Heinrich Klaasen a terrific player of spin. It's okay, let's wait with David Miller because he really bats well at the back end of the innings. Now, these are decisions that's taken on the spur at that moment. You need to have that conversation, and if you're a collective unit, you understand why it's done for the greater good of the team. Nothing of that sort happened. Yes, David Miller got 100. It was a good-looking 100. But you almost felt at that stage the game was won. I mean, he was batting the last 5 overs with number 11. He was just teeing off knowing that it doesn't matter whether he scored the runs or not. I appreciate the fact that he was trying to do what he could best at that point of time. But the fact is that the game was lost much earlier.
You think it was when Rassie van der Dussen got out because he looked like he was in control of
He was in control, but that's where the concept of, you have to think who are the opposition bowlers, what can you do? You know Rachin Ravindra is going to bowl if you're going to send right-handers, and that's exactly what they allowed Rachin Ravindra to come and bowl. They get through a few cheap overs. Imagine Mitchell Santner's predicament if David Miller was there. He has to bring the others on. Yes. If he doesn't go well, he's not going to bring a lesser bowler like Rachin Ravindra against a marauding David Miller. And again, it's that left-right combination. If it's spinning, you know it's going to be there. Don't we send Akshar Patel and others ahead because we know there's somebody else coming? It's not as if KL Rahul can't bat better than again Akshar Patel. Possibly he's got better numbers. He's the main batsman in the team or the batter in the team. But you need to adapt on the fly. You cannot just say this is how we go. And also, even if you go that way, where was any sort of a game plan or an intent shown?
Also, when you're chasing down big totals, you need to stay as close to the run rate or just slightly behind.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, you can always back yourself to get 1090 at the back end, 1085. But you can't have 10140. 10140 is not going to be... Even in T20s, it's hardly done.
Yes.
With lesser wickets, slightly older ball, it's next to impossible. So you want to stick close to that run rate. At the end of 10, you want to be somewhere 70. At the end of 20, you want to be 130. That's how you plan a chase like that. But if you look at this, at the end of 20, they were 107.
They were playing for me, DK.
At the end of 30, they were 168. Then 168 means 194 in the last 20, which is all just under 10 runs and over.
Yes.
With an older ball, it is very hard on a pitch that is spinning.
They left it for too late, and I can see the disappointment because it was almost like we said there was no intent. It's a big semi-final. We wanted to be a cracker of a game, and 362 was very chaseable is what you felt it was. But we have to give credit to New Zealand because you said this. You said that if South Africa doesn't manage to play spin well, they're done. And that's pretty much what happened.
Now, I want to state it on record. New Zealand annihilated South Africa today. As simple as that. They were not in the game. I really believe South Africa would get close, put pressure on them. You want to, in a way, do what Australia did to India. They were an inexperienced side as well. They took the game deep. They were in the hunt. One mistake by India, even when Hardik and KL were batting, the result could have been so different. That's what you expected from South Africa. This is a meek surrender. They were not in the game so early. You can't turn up to a semi-final feeling happy to be there. You're a team which speaks about wanting to win trophies. This is the fourth semi-final on the bounce across the men's and women's tournaments that you've been there in World Cups and multi-nation tournaments. Play like a champion team. I think it's very unfair to keep the chokers tag on them, but this was not a choke. This is a game where they've surrendered in a very soft manner. They're better than that, for sure.
No, they looked really, really
This
meek
was a
today.
shocker, not a choker.
Yeah. No, it was a shocker. They looked very meek. But like you said, New Zealand just were extremely dominant because clearly they had a game plan, be it with the bat or be it with the ball. And they managed to stick to those game plans. When you look at that ball, the plan with the ball, we saw the captain lead from the front, and how spectacular was Mitch Santner today.
He has been brilliant. We spoke about him. We spoke about the qualities that he has. One of the things which he does and which he has started doing over the years is that control of that flight. You know that he is going to go wide outside the crease, and from there, with that angle, get the ball to spin. And what also he does is that whatever length he bowls, the length is pretty much same, but he's got different speeds at which he hits the same length. And I think as a batter, I think maybe DK can explain it to me better, what he feels as a batter. If me as a bowler, he's able to control that length with different speeds, I don't know how you will counter it. You have to have a go at me, try and take me out of my length, try and actually read that ball right from my hand and be pretty quick with your feet. I think that's what you can do. And every time somebody has tried to take him down, he has had to change his game plan. But how many times has somebody tried to take him down? That's because of the quality that he has. And also, I'll state this again, the old Santner never spun the ball. Now he's actually spinning the ball a lot more and controlling the axis beautifully. And I think that is something which he has worked on. Credit to him.
If you look at that graphic, Saiyami, it's a very interesting one. When he bowls slow, he likes to bowl it much fuller. As he increases speed, he actually takes the ball away good and short of length when he starts bowling quicker. As you can see, the 9 and 4 in the second column and 15 and 6. And the key is what Karthik Murali was speaking about, the angle at which he releases. So almost an unplayable ball for today was Rassie van der Dussen. He bowled it quicker, flatter, wider of the crease. As soon as somebody does that, as a batsman, you line up for the one that comes straight. And that's exactly what he did. He looked to play the long on because he bowled it flatter. But it just deviated enough to beat the bat. Now, I want to ask you, as a left-arm spinner, when you're looking to do that, does it happen off the pitch or are you aware it can happen every time? You know it when it happens.
What are you talking about?
The wide of the crease, bowling slightly quicker, one just turning enough and one going straight through. You almost can count on it to happen every time, or it happens because of the pitch and the natural variation.
Sometimes it's because of the pitch, sometimes also because of the way you put your fingers through the ball. And that happens to a few bowlers who actually try and spin the ball. You will notice, and something which all of us spinners have noticed is every time you try and bowl the ball quicker, the palm starts opening up. Only when you're slower and when you control that wrist at the top, the palm stays nice and upright and you're spinning the ball. There are exceptions to the rule. Swanee spun it quick. Monty Panesar spun it quick. And lots of bowlers, when you actually put in a lot more effort and you're in cognizance of your bowling action, you can spin it with a quicker arm action, like Bajji also did it. But with extreme speeds, when you're trying to crank it up to 95, 97, 100, that's the time when it starts opening out and it tends to go through. But what you're asking is, every now and then, because of the surface or the dryness of it, if it hits some certain crack, in spite of it being quick, it will break. It won't turn. It will deviate, but it's not that spin which you see.
It breaks.
It breaks.
Because of the angle. And you feel like it turns a lot.
Yeah, and something which was a great observation from you, if we can have that graphic of mid-Santner, and it's very, very nice that he does it. You said when he bowls slowly, it's up. Think of it. If it's slow and if it's slightly short, even if you read it, you can rock back and hit it on the back foot. Now, if it's up, you're deceived. But what he does also is that when you said when he's quicker through the air, he's slightly short. That's the time he wants you to hit the square boundaries. And modern day batters, nowadays, you don't run. If it's quick and it's up there, you can hit him straight. And that's why his quicker deliveries are slightly short, though that you don't get underneath it. Whereas the slower deliveries are the ones where if he doesn't drop short, you can't go and cut him. So it's great control of that speed and the length.
But DK, as a batter, when the way Karthik's explaining it, what does one do to play Santner? Is it stepping out, using your feet more?
On a pitch like this,
Yes.
your boundary options are actually off the back foot. Unless you're someone who can really step out well. But stepping out can't mean you want to slog it out of the ground every time. He'll eat you for breakfast, lunch and dinner twice on a Sunday. You should be able to wait and play off the back foot a lot more. That's when you can hit over mid-wicket, which is always an option. And once you've done that, you can back it up with the short over covers. These are his main two scoring options. If you're not able to do that, then you should be really good in terms of using your feet, quick to get to the ball.
I can think of what he would have done if he bowled quicker. He was a very good slog sweeper and a sweeper. So that length which we are showing, that is the quick one. If it's right in his arc, it's going towards mid-wicket or much finer. And what you're also saying is you need to be batting like Steve Smith and Kane Williamson. If you don't reach the pitch of the ball, but you have to use your feet. See, sometimes I can tell you as a spinner, I do enjoy somebody coming at me, but if somebody's constantly coming at me and second guessing me, I am actually at my wits' end what to do. And somebody, if they don't try and play a full shot and play like the way Badrinath used to play, you're not to the pitch of the ball, chip, 2. You're not to the pitch of the ball like Steve Smith and Kane Williamson, hit those gaps. But they have that confidence to clear the infield and hit those gaps. I think it's like you sometimes want to scratch your head.
It's an art that is actually losing its place in cricket right now, because bowlers bowl so quick, you don't have time to step out. You have to be able to muscle the ball from the crease. That's why the art of stepping out to take singles has become a lot lesser. If you step out, it's a 6. That's what you want to do. So it's more often than not, it's a 6 or you get stumped. They're okay with getting out because they step out so rarely. It's almost a big boundary shot every time you step out. A rare one was actually the way Josh Inglis played yesterday. He was able to step out, just take a single there. In case it is full, he's able to go over covers. Even in the England match, he did that beautifully to Adil Rashid. That actually puts the bowler off. You're able to step out and get to the pitch of the ball, but not be there and still take a single. That actually makes bowling very hard because you are creating his good ball into a single and the bad ball you can put away.
Well, Santner was beautiful today, but he also had that support cast which was ably supporting him all through. We saw Rachin get a wicket. Matt Henry, who's been the highest wicket taker, he went off with that shoulder. Hopefully, it's all good for Matt Henry. He came back and bowled. He got those 2 wickets. Rachin picking that 1, and of course, Glenn Phillips picking 2. So, all in all, for New Zealand, they'll be very happy looking at this bowling card.
Some of them maybe not. Kyle Jamieson, Will O'Rourke, he must have expected a bit better because I actually felt a little bit of the floodgates open when Will O'Rourke came on to bowl. They were actually going fine and he came and he bowled everywhere, and I think in 3 overs he had gone for 24. And maybe I thought now there is a surge from South Africa. In the end, one of the reasons maybe, DK was talking about it, he says he wants to do everything the right way in spite of the equation be out of their hand. He got Will O'Rourke and Jamieson to bowl. I don't think in the end, they were happy with the death bowling. Yes, the game was won. But sometimes you pride yourself in the way you finish and the way you bowl in the death. I don't think that was pretty clinical from New Zealand. If they have to be critical about themselves, spinners were top draw. Glenn Phillips always gives you a wicket. He did that. And overall, I think beyond the stage, New Zealand knew that they had the match in their kitty.
And also they came and bowled in the death because, they, like you said, there's a plan and they were sticking to that plan. So clearly there was something that they discussed and that's exactly what they stuck to.
The weakest part of their game right now is their death bowling. You get to that phase and if you're in a strong position, you can maximize it. Other than that, they are the best bowling team in the comp when it comes to new ball. In the power play, brilliant. Henry and Kyle Jamieson, top of the game. Through the middle, the spinners are very effective as well. It's only the death that can be troublesome. Luckily for them, they're playing in Dubai, which is a big ground and slightly slow. So they bowl a lot of these slower bumpers, which seems to help them. But the fact is that if New Zealand are pushed to their last 5 overs with the game on the line, there's a great chance they'll struggle.
Where there is a death bowling, which you're saying is probably the weakest part of the team. But whenever you talk about New Zealand, I think they save at least a good, easy, 20 runs in
That's
the
a given.
field. Because with New Zealand, there's just so much pressure when the guys are fielding so well.
That's given. I think you can see that in the middle overs too, when even South African batters were normally fleet-footed and run hard. The way covers and point and mid-wicket attack those balls and cut those angles and stop those singles for spinners, that's what piles on the pressure. So you are going to get that. Wherever they are, you see the way Kane Williamson, with the game completely in their kitty, he was trying to save 2 runs.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, why would you do that? You've got a game on hand, final. Why would you slide, get your knee jammed somewhere and do that? But that's the way. That's what they pride themselves upon. So that is something which is a given. I don't think they even blink an eyelid when they talk about fielding. But coming back to that death bowling, that is possibly one of the reasons maybe the skipper said, Milo Roke, Kyle Jamieson, it's a bit of a practice against a set David Miller, and maybe they will have a chat or two about it.
Well, New Zealand will have a chat or two, but I'm sure they will celebrate as well because they're through to the Champions Trophy final. Well done, New Zealand. They, of course, have set up their clash with India. And like I said, the Kiwis will be flying to Dubai very soon as India and New Zealand take on each other. This will be happening on the 9th, where India and New Zealand finally come up against each other and, play in Dubai. But is this a final that you're expecting? Was this in one of your predictions?
I knew India would be there, but I didn't know which other team could be there. But again, I actually feel very happy. People need to know that I have a very soft corner for New Zealand and New Zealand team. So I'm actually very happy that one is my home country and the other is a country I love.
To make it your home.
I would love to.
Well, India getting into this with ample amount of rest, DK. They have looked the most dominant side in the tournament so far. Pretty much everything seems to be going right for them. That one tick mark that India wants is a big one from Rohit Sharma. But other than that, anything else that you see?
India are a well-oiled unit. The conditions, they've picked a beautiful team to play in those conditions. They're strong with 4 spinners. They attack through the middle. Again, for India, the biggest worry would be death bowling. The last 5 overs, if at all, there is a worry. Other than that, we are sorted in most places. India is a very strong team. They're batting very well. We've had different people performing at different times. We had Shubman Gill at the start. We've had Virat Kohli. It was great to see KL Rahul do what he did. Hardik Pandya. Shreyas Iyer has been probably the most consistent one. So, as we stand today, Team India would be very happy. But for me, if there is a team which can compete with India right now, it has to be New Zealand. No doubt about it.
But again, sticking to India, do you see any changes? Because there's again lots of chatter. Varun comes in, picks up that 5 against New Zealand, and then, of course,
Why would you change something which is working? I think those 4 spinners provide a lot of control, and they run through the overs pretty quickly. And at times where the opposition is trying to come back, if they are trying to come back, when your team runs through those overs, it just feels pretty cramped at that time. And all of them are bowling well. The good thing for India is that Hardik Pandya is bowling well.
Yes.
So you can expect a few overs. Mohammad Shami has been amongst wickets. So I don't see any reason to change a side which is winning.
And also against New Zealand, the top order didn't fire. So again, coming into the finals, we know what the big man likes doing. We saw him and we saw what he did in the last match. But the top order will want to fire against New Zealand.
They will fire. Come the big game, you have some big names there. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and some good batsmanship in Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer. I have no doubt that the top order will come good. It will be a cracking game. New Zealand, India, two of the best teams in this tournament by a distance. They played smart cricket, they've understood the conditions well, and at times they have actually destroyed opponents, which tells you the strength of a team. I believe it is a very worthy final. Two teams very similar in the way they have stacked up against each other. Probably New Zealand has one fast bowler extra. Other than that, they have a deep batting with Santner coming in 8. We have Jadeja coming in at 8. So it's two good teams who have played solid cricket in the last 2 weeks, and it's great to have such a good final.
But Karthik, you think they'll back Kuldeep because we are used to seeing him bowl at a certain level. Maybe the last game Kuldeep wasn't that level where we are used to seeing him.
That's fine. Look, one game, if Rohit doesn't get runs, will you drop him? I'm equating him to Rohit. The reason being, I think he's a very good bowler.
Yes.
He needs to get some game time. He's a quality act. All the weapons that he has got will come in handy on a track like that. And I think he started bowling well. It's just that sometimes you don't see the results. You can bowl well, you don't see the results. But as long as I'm concerned, I would not drop him at all just because he's gone for a few runs, or if he's not picked up a wicket, I'm not bothered about it.
Also, DK, the atmosphere just feels really relaxed in the Indian camp. We've been seeing all these videos they've been putting out. Yes, victory always makes it very cheerful, but you just see them very, very relaxed and at ease.
Yeah, they've been in the same place for some time now. It's a lovely place to be. You can walk around and there is a lot of freedom to do other things, And the fact is that they've enjoyed being there. They've played some good cricket. Whenever you play good cricket and you almost go unbeaten into a final, it gives you a lot of confidence. And the fact that you gel along well with the group. It's a group that have stayed together. They haven't had the easiest last 6 months. The test series against New Zealand didn't go well. The Australian series didn't go to plan. But now they've come together. The England series did well, and they've taken that confidence into Champions Trophy. And I'm sure they deserve this. They've earned the right to be happy and confident, and I'm happy for them. It's important that they have one more good day before the season ends. And all of India, 1 billion people will be looking out for that final because the Champions Trophy doesn't come along very easy. The last 3 Champions Trophy, we've reached a final every single time. We've won it once, we've lost once. We'll see what happens, but it's a quality cracker game.
And also, you just hope and pray that it's not a repeat of 2023 where we didn't lose a single game, lost in the finals. 2019 where we went undefeated and lost to New Zealand.
As he's saying that New Zealand have beaten us twice in the final so far, once in the World Test Championship, once in 2000. But these things don't matter.
Don't matter. You just have to think of the given day and hopefully history doesn't repeat itself.
Well, actually, Santner had very interesting things to say after the match, and he said that it was actually India's loss that gave him the confidence to get into today's game. This is what he had to say. Looking back, 320 might not have been enough. Being there in Dubai and putting India under pressure gave us confidence. You take in what things work and what doesn't. Not winning the toss might be nice.
Interestingly, both captains want to do that. Santner also wants to lose the toss. Rohit also wants to lose. One is going to win. Rohit has been a perennial loser in terms of tosses. He lost 14 on the trot. Mathematically, it's not possible, but Rohit makes it possible. That's the beauty. But I think the team winning the toss will look to bat first. It's a better ground to bat first, no doubt about it.
But New Zealand obviously coming in because they've been clinical, so they'll come in with that confidence as well. They will get, I think, 2 days of rest probably before they get in. They'll fly in tomorrow.
It's just
and
a
then
1.5 hour flight.
Yeah, so 3 days of rest before they get in. So even with their camp, they're also somebody who, they seem very calm, composed. I remember DK telling me that they, always, there are lots of chits and lots of strategies that New Zealand always has when they prep for a big game. So we'll see that happening. But do you see any changes in the New Zealand team?
No, I don't see any changes at all. Again, they've been pretty good with the way they've gone about it. Devon Conway, Mark Chapman, Nathan Smith, Jacob Duffy, they're all going to sit out. Just one thing, hopefully Matt Henry doesn't have the after effects of today's fall, because he did fall and it doesn't look good. Whenever a bowler falls and he clutches onto his shoulder, you don't feel happy. But the thing is, he came back, he bowled, he seemed fine, and then he was fielding as well. I know he didn't try and throw, they tried to protect him in the infield and he was trying to underarm it with his left hand. But the good thing is he came on to bowl, because if you're done something, you can't come and bowl. So maybe with 3 days rest, he's fine. So they won't change. I don't think they'll change.
DK, what do you think the chatter is going to be? Because obviously the pressure of the big day, a big final is always on. So what do you think the chatter in the New Zealand camp will be?
India have the wood over them. The last 3 times they've met, twice in the World Cup, once in the T20, once here. India have completely dominated every time they've played. The key now is, on a big day like this, you need to start afresh. Again, for New Zealand to make inroads, they need to strike in the power play. That's when they put pressure on India. If they let the power play go with just 1 wicket, then India will dominate the game. They need to strike, and they have the bowling. Kyle Jamieson, Matt Henry, those guys can definitely strike. Rohit is going to come hard. But there's your chance of getting a wicket. So they need to strike hard, because when they get wickets up front, then they control the middle overs much better. If
Can
they
you go and tell Rohit, strike hard, but take extra 2-3 balls?
Well, your players to watch out for then. Are you going to root for Rohit?
I always root for Rohit. Look, I love the way he bats. It's just so mouth-watering. I don't think... I've always said this. I say this on commentary very often and repeat myself. He doesn't make ugly runs.
Yes.
Even if he gets out for 0, it's a beautiful-looking 0. That's how it looks like. It's tough to root for anybody. Look, I've been rooting for Shubman Gill the last 2 games and he didn't get runs. I'll root for the team. How about that?
I mean, you can root for the team, but you've been very...
No, I've been a neutral guy. No, so I'm rooting for the team.
No, but if you pick one player from each team.
Ooh la la. Who am I picking?
I'll go. I have it in my mind. Then he can think and get there by then. For me, Shreyas Iyer is a key. He's the best player of spin through the middle. I believe he'll play a massive part. And when it comes to New Zealand, it's how much Santner can make a difference in that middle overs. That is going to be so key for them to doing well in that game.
I think from a batting point of view, I think everything revolves around the way Kane Williamson is going to bat. Again, good player of spin. So I'm going with Kane Williamson from New Zealand. And from India, I'll again trust my gut instinct, go with Shubman Gill.
All right, so we will keep our fingers crossed and hope that Shubman has a good day. And of course, like DK is saying, Shreyas is the key for India as well. All we want is a cracker of a game. We now have to quickly have a look at the joy factor question of the day, because there's someone very happy in the studio today, and that's Murali Karthik.
Yes.
Here's the question. This cricketer playing in the 2025 Champions Trophy claimed Virat Kohli as his first test wicket and was the player of the match in his very first ODI. Name him.
Yeah, that's why I said this time around I can also look at joy
go for
in
it.
the same fashion. There have been 5 bowlers who have got Virat Kohli in their first as their first wicket. Interestingly, Matthew Kuhneman is one. Senuran Muthuswamy, the left-arm spinner from South Africa. Heinrich Nokia, Alzari Joseph and Kagiso Rabada. But the fine print is he's playing in the Champions Trophy of 2025, so it's Kagiso Rabada.
Well done there, well done.
For once I've actually been here. Otherwise I look away from Joy Factor.
Yeah, but this is your debut win on the Joy Factor.
Absolutely. He's given me some joy today.
Well done, well done. But besides Murali Karthik, let's have a look at who's won the Joy Factor question today. Well, it is Sudeep Ghosh. Sudeep, we've seen your name quite a few times. It's, I think this one must have been really easy for you, but keep it coming because we love seeing your name coming in all the time. We need to applaud again now.
You were saying something.
I was just saying, is it Joy's other handle or something?
Oh no, I don't think this one is, because he's come and commented saying it's
I
not.
hope I'm just not taking anything away from Sudeep.
We are sure
Well
that
done,
there are handles that Joyda has, but not Sudeep.
Okay.
But we have to clap for you again. It's become a habit, hasn't it? It's just a habit now. Well done. And let's also have a look at that leaderboard and that photograph of the man in the check
bald
shirt.
guy. What is he saying? I am very happy I'm above Viru. The funniest is Viru didn't even look at my name. He says, you must be last. I said, hello, I was number 2 to you. I said, but I didn't see you.
Well, how does it feel
now he
to
will
be?
see me.
He will see you. We are all seeing you, but how does it feel to be up there? I mean, I've never been there, so I don't know.
The top of the summit.
Yeah.
It's a very lonely place, they say.
And I've got a target on my back now.
Well, you are coming back for the finals. So
I think it's like the caps which you get. After a point, that's done.
Are you retiring from the game now?
I'm retiring from the game at the top.
You're retiring on the high.
At the top.
Yes.
At the pinnacle, I'll retire.
I don't think that option's there, but we will have a chat with our producers to see if that option's there. DK, I know
because the others aren't competing, then it should be stopped now.
we will take this up with the producers. I don't have the power to decide the rules on this prediction game. I wish I did. I would favor them for me, but I haven't had that of power.
We need to watch the final without the pressure of this prediction.
True. There's already too much pressure there when it's a big final.
Correct.
We will, DK, miss you, but of course we will be seeing you, and hopefully you wouldn't want to play weatherman and everything's very good with the weather in Dubai when you go back. But it's always lovely to have you at Cricbuzz. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm not letting you go anywhere. I'll be seeing you very, very soon, but it's always such a pleasure. Thanks you so
Saiyami.
much again.
Thanks.
And it's always such a pleasure to be on Cricbuzz Live. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back, of course, for the big final on the 9th of March. So don't forget to join us at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching.